this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your daily horoscope and energetic reading for the lunar eclipse that is going to be a supermoon, and this is a total lunar eclipse, supermoon, and it's going to be the final blood moon in a series of 4 that we've had. So I want to talk a little bit about the astrological side of it, and we're going to give the energetic reading. And for some of you, however it appeals to you, I completely understand. But I like facts to back up energy or energetic readings, and it helps me understand and make sense out of energies at play and why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. So during this lunar event, one of the big deals about this event is that Saturn is going to be opposing the lunar eclipse, right? Saturn is going to be in expansive Sagittarius, and it is going to oppose the total lunar eclipse in Aries. So I just want to talk about that one energy and what that means in astrology, and we'll talk about all the other stuff. So Saturn being in Sagittarius is a good thing. It's not like when it was in Scorpio, so we don't need to be as scared of Saturn opposing this as some might think. It just means that we have it's going to really open up the energy and really maximize the potential of the energy from this lunar eclipse. It's really going to expand the message in this particular event. That's all it means, right? So when it's squaring, it's in opposition, but it's not in opposition where two energies that are here that they want to go here, right? It's opposing energies. So one good thing about energy that's in opposition is it gives us 2 ways to look at an event, right? And that's important because when you have so much energy and ego, we definitely need some energy challenging ego, because it can make us very decisive about what to do based on what we want based on our egos, but that may not be altogether what's best for us. And so the challenge is this beautiful Saturn energy. And I think people look at it wrong, and I think they think, oh, Saturn's going to really give us some control, some issues with our identity and how we view ourselves. And I think that could be some of the challenge in it, absolutely. But I also see that as being a really good thing. I mean, a really, really good thing and a blessing as far as I'm concerned. So another thing that's going on during this lunar event that I find very, very cool is the fact that the Sun and Mercury and all the North Node are all conjunct sitting in Libra energy, right? And they are really they're all working together. So anytime energy is conjunct, that means you get all of those energies for the price of one. So if any of those energies are set off, it sets all of the energies at the same time. And so your North Node is in charge of ascension, where we want to move forward in this life, what we want to become initially, what we were put on this earth to do. Then we've got our Sun, our core, our soul, in opposition of this lunar experience. So we've got others, right? The energy, Libran energy that rules partnerships and others, and it is opposing self and ego, and that's in our emotional level. So we've got our core challenging our emotional well-being at this point, and we're trying to, it's like we're on a teeter-totter, right? And on one side of the teeter-totter, we've got one person that weighs this much, and we've got one person on the other side of the teeter-totter that weighs this much. Well, if you were imbalanced, say they were both 120 pounds, the teeter-totter would be easy, and you wouldn't have to push. I mean, it would almost like it would just sit there and it'd be like that, right? It would be a very balanced energy. But as we both know, right, as everybody knows right now, we're not at the same level energetically with our soul as with our emotions. And so that teeter-totter right now is one side of it's heavier than the other. And that is a personal journey of everybody's, their own personal journey. So for some of you, your ego is really pulling down all this energy. For some of you, the need for balance is really pulling down the energy. And I think the need for balance is healthy, right? Like sometimes you can be so balanced in energy that you're too busy worrying about what everybody else wants and you're trying to make everybody happy that you don't balance your own needs with what other people want. So sometimes that's what Libra and energy gets caught up in, is making everybody happy and keeping the balance with everybody, but there's no balance within themselves. And so that puts everything off kilter too. Just because all this energy is in Libra doesn't mean squat if you don't know how to have proper boundaries and maintain your ego while in a challenged position, right? Ego is very important. Don't discredit the need for ego to be as strong as balance, right? Because I've seen so many Libras really go all out to make everybody happy and make the general consensus, right? And they're really balancing everything out and they can see two sides to everything, right? But sometimes it makes them freaking indecisive as hell and doormats because they really just want this partnership energy so much that they often don't stand by their ego, their boundaries, and what they want. They try to just give the person that they're with all of the power. And so that has been a serious challenge with Libra and energy. And with all of our energies, we're all learning our balance. We're all learning how to have a strong, healthy ego and consider others. And that's the beauty of this particular moon. So we have Saturn squaring off with emotion, right? Because it really wants to get you emotionally in check with your ego. And then we have the sun, your core, square, and Libra energy squaring off with your moon. So all of this is just at a state of balance. They're all weighing right now. And it's all very important energy for us to get a balance in all of it. So there's no predominant energy that has more power than the other energy. And that's really important because some of us were letting a lot of our energies get out of control, whether it be our ego, whether it be the need to people please, whether it be the need to be controlling and have control and monopolize everybody and be overbearing and narcissistic. And some of us were just the doormats, codependents. And so this lunar eclipse is really challenging all of those energies and really letting us know where our weakness is so we can put an end to that sabotaging behavior. Now, in this particular day, the energetic side of this, now that's just the general reading, and I'll get more precise into all of the daily reading, all of the sun, moon, and rising sign. I'll do all of those individually. Generally, that's what the point is for this entire lunar eclipse, this event. Now, energetically, the core issue is moving forward while sustaining a relationship, right? Because this is a Libra. So what's happening is we want our emotional well-being and our ego to balance what we need in a relationship, right? To balancing partnership energies, to balancing relationships with others. We don't want to lose power in relationships anymore. And I think for some of us, it's just going to be knowledge and really tapping into the Libra energy, but not letting Libra be so dominant that we forget our ego. And I think that for some of us, the strength that can come of this is really tapping in to our moon and letting our emotions be a gauge for us. So I love, the way that I follow intuition and the way that I'm learning how to do it is my emotions gauge where I'm faulty or where I'm not feeling healthy or where I'm experiencing stress, or where I'm incredibly intuitive with the energetic needs of what I need to do. It's all emotion based. So if we can get on board with tuning into our emotions and stop denying our emotional desires, our emotional needs, but not letting them get so carried away that they develop into poor coping methods and they develop into a need to emotionally sabotage our need for progression, because we need emotional emotional support right now, because we can't deal with our own emotional anxieties and our issues with ourselves. And so the dichotomy in all of this is to get all of these energies all counterbalancing each other, all weighing each other out, and get it in the middle, all of them. And that is the challenge of this incredible moon. And that's why it's such a big, powerful moon that's going to go in and really shake things up, really going to magnify things, really going to bring things forward, and going to stabilize, or going to work on or show us where we need to energetically find a way to deal with all this energy. Hi Aries, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your personalized energetic reading for the lunar eclipse, supermoon, total lunar eclipse event that is going to be happening today. And so your ruler, Mars, is going to be in Virgo. So this isn't exactly the most ideal spot for it to be in, but I like it because it's not like you're moving headstrong and you're not moving full force. It's you're critically analyzing this emotional situation that you are in. And for you, this is going to be in your first house. And so you're really taking a look at, now understand that the lunar eclipse, your lunar eclipse, like this is all about you, right? This is all in your first house, is going to be opposing partnering energy. The opposition is going to be in Libra, in the sun. So this has to do with getting what you want from others versus your emotional needs to stay strong in your relationships. And so you're critically analyzing this, and it's squaring off with Saturn. So for some of you, I want to say that there's some painful situations that I think at this point you could walk away from easily, right? You're at a crossroads. But I think it's like you almost are staying, it's like you see the future and you see a better destiny for you, but it's like you're almost hesitant because it's like you're holding yourself back. You're being too critical of the fact how far you've overcome these situations. And for you, I think this has to do, you took a lot of what happened out on yourself, right? And so the way that you are taking a look at this is it's like, you know, it's like you blame yourself for so much. It's like you blame yourself for not being smarter than you should have been. It's like you allowed your emotions to judge where you were going, and you're not ever going to do that again because you think that that's going to solve everything. But there's a new, beautiful new beginning on the horizon, and you see it. You're holding it in your hand right now. But it's just... And it's a triumphant new beginning. Like, do you understand if you just walk through that door and if you just move forward, that it means you're going to get everything you want, right? And you're going to outwardly show everybody that you've made this big, triumphant, progressive stance. You're very knowledgeable. You'll never make the same mistake that you made ever again because you have all of the knowledge behind you. You have enough pain associated with this to never make the same mistake ever again. So you can move forward and get everything you want. And this lunar eclipse wants to put an end to the suffering, to the part, some of you have been secluding yourself and hiding from it and putting blinders onto what you need outwardly and from others, or how you need to be treated, or what you need, or even whether or not you should partner with anybody. Like some of you are just not even going to do that. And so you're holding yourself back, but you have something to give and they have something to give you. And if you just let this lunar eclipse open this up and expand all of this, you are going to have a beautiful new beginning in this ending. Hi Taurus, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for the lunar eclipse supermoon that is going to be happening in your 12th house. And for you, the challenge with this is that Venus is going to be in Leo, so your ruler is going to be in Leo, and it's going to be squaring off with Saturn. And so this is putting a little bit of a damper on Venus. Venus likes to be very expressive and out there and very heart-based, but when it squares off with Saturn, Saturn's asking for a little bit of control and just how half-cocked it likes to go. So it's really challenging it, and this is in Sagittarian energy. So it is a fellow fire energy, so I don't think it's altogether troublesome in the fact that it's just going to challenge your need to broaden your perspective in this particular situation. So this is absolutely heart-based, or creative-based, or something you're very, very deeply passionate about. And for you, I think what you suffer from is there's a lot of pain associated with moving forward. You're at the ending of that, but it's just, how do you proceed forward? There are so many opportunities. Some of the problems that I see with this particular situation is there's a lot of support to keep you right where you're at, right? No challenge. You can energetically move forward, and this lunar eclipse can bring a new opportunity and keep you stuck in dysfunction. And it absolutely can do that. And you can, and this can minimally affect you. But I see hella challenges coming from that. I see the fallout and the repercussion of that eventually not going your way. If you're willing to take on a challenge in a heart-based endeavor, I see it panning out for you, but I see it to be a lot of work, and I see it to be a lot of internal work, something that you do behind the scenes. And I see that instead of having a giant payoff right now, it will be a big payoff, but it'll be something that is going to take time for you to get to that payoff. And my problem is if you take what's before you right now, right, in this lunar experience, then you don't overcome a lot of what I see here. And so some of the things that I see you struggling with overcoming and it taking you a really long time versus just working through it when the energy is stimulating you to. And some of you are going to get distracted with all of the opportunity and all of the fruits that are out there, like the fruit of your labor. So like you're going to get really caught up in the good life, right? And you're going to get really self-indulgent in all this Aries energy, but you're going to miss the boat on the absolute touching emotional depth that you could have from a significant relationship moving forward. I think some of you are very self-protective and you were hurt. And so I think what you want to choose is an easy option, and you don't want to put a lot of mental investment in it. And so I think for some of you, you want to stay on the emotional dysfunction ride that you're on, and you just want to go for the monetary gains. And I can understand that because you are dealing with your energy, and your energy is all about the possessions that you have. So there is an easy way out. Here's the challenge in that, is that when Saturn is in Sagittarius and it's in Taurus energy and it's in your 12th house, this is challenging some of your unconscious issues that you don't even know you have yet. So what can happen is, what can be expanded from this situation is you don't understand what could be, right? Because if you're taking the easy road out, you're trining all this energy out in Neptune, right? You're not even aware of the repercussion of that because you're not challenged in Neptune right now. So you're not reality based. You're looking at everything through rose-colored glasses a little bit right now. And so I'm a little nervous that what you're going to do is you're not going to do the hard work internally that you need to do with this. And I think you're one of the few signs that are going to Aries this energy out and really go down a little bit harder than most, because you're not going to look at the balance of the situation. You're going to go after what you just desire, the pleasure behind all of this energy. And I mean, who blames you, right? I mean, it makes sense that that's what you would do. My deep concern with that is that this is just going to make you extremely ego-oriented. I see you being challenged. And I see the carrots being dangled before you, and I see you kind of taking the carrot, I gotta say. And that could be a good thing, because if you take the opportunity and the opportunity doesn't pan out and you fall on your butt, maybe that's what it's going to take to turn around all this energy, and it's going to bring some of those unconscious wounds that you're not willing to face yet because you want to live in a little bit more denial. Maybe that's what can come of all of this. It's just, you know, an unexpected event that in love that really challenges some of the energy, this pleasure-based energy that you're going to have in this particular full moon. So, I mean, it is in your 12th house, and that's a very deep house for it to go in. So, you know, some of you just may want to find a way to get away from all this energy, turn your back on it, go have some, you know, pleasure the flesh, and basically you may want to avoid all of this. But I assure you, you can't turn your back to energy, because even if you're fighting it, it does come back around. Hi Gemini, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for the total full moon lunar eclipse that is a supermoon that is going to be happening for you in your 11th house. So one of the really significant energy sources is going to be you, I think, in this event. And that is because your ruler is in retrograde right now, and it's actually opposing this entire lunar event. So what I see is some of you have been partaking of friendships. Your friendships are out of balance. Like some of you, well, usually air signs really fall for their friends, so that's not abnormal, right? But I think some of you have been partaking of that at the expense of relationships, and so you're looking back at that because this is in your 11th house. So, and the reason I say this is because ego, right? This moon in Aries energy, which is all ego, is in opposition with your 11th house, and so I think that for some of you, you were allowing some of your ego to get in the way of relationships with others, and you were just partaking, you know, you were just, you weren't grounded in what you wanted. And I think for some of you, you've had a lot of opposition, and you obviously, for who this applies to, you know, definitely that this is an issue at this point. And, you know, I think you've got to decide whether or not you want to move forward. This lunar eclipse is going to be a pivotal time for you. I think it's going to be positive, but I think you're going to be leaving something behind, definitely, in this event. Moving forward, you're going to want to try to find a way to resolve your issue. And for you, love is not going well. It's not going well. I think for some of you, there's an imbalance in drinking or partaking of pleasurable experiences with others. You're being indulgent, self-indulgent, and your ego has really got the best of you, and you've really been headstrong, and you're not listening to the energy that's been trying to push you in a direction, and you've been fighting it a bit. And so for you, I think this lunar event is going to turn all of that around because see, you're looking back at the past and you're seeing where you went wrong, and perhaps there's somebody from your past that has really given you a revelation, or because your ruler is sitting here in retrograde in Libra, you know, your energy is not at a point where it can make a firm decision of where you want to go. You are at a point, you're kind of at a crossroads where you're making a decision, and for some of you, there's some ego issues because you feel that there was an injustice done to you, or that you are weighing out something that has happened that I think you need to find some balance in all this. Now, understand that the moon is in opposition with balanced energy, so ego is opposing balance. So for some of you, you guys are having a really hard time with balance, really hard time. And getting the twins on board with each other is always a difficult task for a Gemini. But I think, it's so hard because I see fire-based energy being so strong for you and it getting you what you want moving forward. For some of you, all of this fire energy is really going to make you a little bit more decisive and a little bit, I think, instead of being so headstrong and foolhardy, you're going to think about repercussions and you're going to have loyalty and partnerships, and you're going to think about commitments, and you're going to think about who you want to start your future with. But it's got to be somebody that you can flourish with and who gets you and who energetically connects with you. And there is an imbalance in your lifestyle right now that you need to get a handle on. And I think that Jupiter and all the Virgo energy is going to help you out with that, your poor coping methods, because wow, it's all over this. Like, you have some poor coping methods to get under control, because unfortunately it is going to make it very difficult for you if you don't, to really figure out where you want to move forward. And I think what can help today is that Saturn is really energetically connected to you. So even though Pluto is squaring off with your energy and it's asking you about stability and it's putting a little pressure on you to try to solidify some of this, most of it's in heart-based or partnership energies. But I think emotionally, I think you're starting to get a handle for what you want, and Saturn is going to remove some obstacles for you and help you energetically connect with what you truly and deeply need to move forward with and be successful. Hi, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for the lunar eclipse that's happening, which is a supermoon. And for you, this is a really intense energy. So anytime a lunar event happens, especially a lunar eclipse, and it's in a supermoon, you feel this more than anybody, right? So I have a lot more to talk about with you. And for you, this particular experience is going to be going on in your 10th house. And the 10th house for you is that career, life, path, destiny. And so the moon is opposing partnership energy right now. And so the sun is in Libra and this moon is in Aries. So this has something to do with ego for you, emotional ego, versus how you used to identify yourselves. And I think primarily that was through family and partnerships. And I don't think that's entirely uncommon for a Cancer energy to do. So I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it. But what I think the problem is that in this particular lunar event, Saturn is actually, for you, is trining this event. So Saturn is removing obstacles, and it's just seeing what you do with it, right? It's seeing how far you've come, is taking a look at how hard you've been working, and it's removing obstacles, and it wants to see how far you've come and progressed. And I think a lot of this has to do in relationships for sure. Because Mercury's in retrograde in Libra energy. So for some of you, you guys are having a big tug on the past. And this is a really emotional moon for you, because I think a lot of you are wanting to pour your energy into work, and you're wanting to avoid some of the heartbreak and the turmoil that you have experienced, and you're wanting to re-identify yourself through your career, life, path, destiny. And I think what's happening is some of us are trying to avoid getting plugged in through our emotions, right? We're trying to put a mask over them. We're trying to put blinders on, and we're really just trying to concentrate on the really upside in our life, which is our career, life, path, destiny. That's kind of taking off right now. We really feel secure in that area. But life is about balance, right? And this is all in Libra energy. So although our career, life, path, destiny is starting to take off and we're starting to re-identify ourselves, some of us are trying to heal our wounds through, trying to find stability in our purpose. But I think that's actually not being supported because Pluto is actually squaring off today with all of this Aries energy. And so with the Cancer, you can't have one without the other. It's like, I would love to say that if you just concentrate on getting your career, life path, destiny, or your career straightened out, that you're going to be fulfilled. But emotionally, we both know that you won't be fulfilled. You'll never be fulfilled until you heal some of these, until you leave the past behind and you take all the lessons that you've learned and you move forward and you take them for lessons learned. You don't look back at them and use them as a shield for not progressing forward. So some of you are still dealing with some really deep emotional wounds. And these are really going back. Like, I think for most of you, you have had some epiphanies that some of this actually goes back to childhood. Some of the past relationships really tie into everything you've been through. Like, if you look and you can correlate all the data now, I really believe that for you, this is a substantial moon because you're really trying to make sense of it all and balance out the reason why all this happened. And I think that's why Saturn is going to come in and trine you. Now, Saturn isn't trining everybody, but it's trining Cancers, and it's really just wanting to make sure that you feel some sense of empowerment in this journey. So you really are progressing, you're overcoming, you're strong. Energetically, I think in your mind, you're getting it all figured out. I definitely see that there's some deep, deep wounds that you have that you are carrying along forward. And you can't do that. You've got to deal with these wounds. And this is all past related. So this is a great time to really get those out of your system, right? Because Mercury is in retrograde for a reason. And at this point, it's opposing this whole lunar experience. So for you, you're feeling the emotional tugs of this. You're feeling all of that energy kind of all over again. It's reopening some wounds. It's kind of almost pouring salt into them. But I really want you to keep your eye on the ball. Yes, there's a dark side going on inside of you. Yes, there's something dark and energetic that you're dealing with. But I think you have a good thought process, and I think that's why Saturn is so supportive in the fact that even though there's some darkness, even though there's some things to overcome in this energy, I think for the most part, re-identifying your career, life path, destiny, and really getting on board with what energetically you should be getting on board with, that's really giving you the confidence to probably face a little bit of this turmoil that I see in your career, life path, destiny, in your heart. So don't let this moon get to you. Take it as a growth experience and take it for what it is. It really is trying to energetically get you over everything and make your entire life full. You know, you need to be emotionally full, and you need to have balance, and you need to have soul growth, and you need to have career, life path, destiny growth. And that's all a balancing art. And you don't get one without the other, especially with a Cancer. Initially, at night, in your own energy, it's like, I still think you still energetically, battle some of this, this energy out. And I think for some of you, the challenge is that you've just basically you're not allowing yourself to move forward in heart-based endeavors because it's so difficult for you to trust yourself. And that's okay. You have a lot to give monetarily right now. In your career, life path, destiny, you've really identified what you want to do, and you're really pouring a lot of your heart into that. And that's really giving you a lot of internal strength in your confidence. And I love that. So keep going with that. Don't let this lunar experience, it will throw you off balance, and it will make you deal with some poor coping methods, and it will make you a little bit more emotional and combative than normal. And that's completely expected in a lunar eclipse like this, where it's 3 times more powerful. I would suggest to you that for some of you, it's just best to kind of stay behind the scenes and just keep a low profile and internalize a lot of this and let it talk to you in the way that it energetically should. Because for you, there's a special message that you're going to receive from all of this, because you're at such an elevated level of thinking anyway. I think you're very receptive to the energy talking to you about what you need to move forward. Thank you so much for tuning into this particular energetic reading for this lunar experience, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi guys, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for the total lunar eclipse, supermoon, final blood moon that is going to be happening today. And for you, you're kind of like Cancer. Anytime there's an eclipse of any sort, you're aspected as well as a Cancer is, because it's a lunar eclipse and it's always in opposition of the sun, and the moon are always in opposition. So for you, this is particularly interesting because the sun right now is in Libra in partnership energies, and it is opposing the moon in Aries. So this is ego, sun self, versus identifying yourself through partnerships. And this can be a very challenging time for you right now, because many of you are, I don't know, you're hesitant. You know, the past, you're living a little bit in the past right now, and you're revisiting some old wounds, and you're looking at what's left behind, and that's a lot for you to process anyway, and really retain your ego. But I like this particular energy for you because Saturn is actually sextiling Sagittarius at the same time that this entire event is going on. So I see this as being a very positive, progressive movement for you. If you want to get away from the past and, you know, deal with this heartbreak, and if you want to leave it behind, don't get caught up in your ego and be like, I won type idea. You know, you want to be balanced in all energy, and if your ego if you start to get too big for your britches, I think you'll get somewhat of a reality check and maybe have an opposition. But I really want you to take a look at this from the Sagittarian perspective in this sextile that's going on. And I want you to look at how far you've come. And that the fact that there is some rapid change, and the change is the struggle, right? And I think what's going to help you through all of this is just that knowledge is power. Like removing emotion and just taking a look at it from a balanced perspective. Know that there was a lot of emotion that was attached to a situation. For you, all of this energy is happening in your 9th house, right? And then Saturn is in Sagittarius, and this is all like working heavily in your 9th house, right? So I think there's a lot of expansion and broadening of perspective. This moon is really going to open up some mindsets I don't think you've ever embarked upon before. It's really going, I think it's going to remove ego, and you're going to energetically connect with this to all levels, and it's almost like you're going to have a heartfelt attachment to the plight of all of this. All of it as a whole, like the entire lunar experience for everybody and you. It is a very big perspective to take in. And this is going to be a very big time of change in perspective. It's not going to be so much about ego with you or emotion. You're going to take a look at the entire effect from all of it. So you're going to take a look at it from an earth-based perspective, from an air-based perspective, from a water-based perspective, and from a fire-based perspective. And you're going to try to seek some knowledge from all of those. You know, anytime that we have energy that's this big, that is in this broad of a perspective, there is a lot to be learned, and you're going to learn something from this, and it is going to be an eye-opening experience. It's almost going to be like an awakening or a revelation, or it's going to be something that changes your direction, period. Or perspective, period. There's no going back to the old perspective. And some of you may want to resist it based on ego, but I don't think so. I think for the most part, everybody's going to tune in, all Leos are going to tune into this Sagittarian energy that's in Saturn, and it's really, It's like you want to be a student at this point. Like, you know, you've endured the worst of Saturn's teachings. And so at this point, this is such a pleasurable energy. When you sit down in this classroom, it's like, it's nothing but knowledge is power versus knowledge wasn't power when it was in Leo. When Saturn was in Leo, it wasn't power. It was disempowering. But this energy is all about power. It's all about perspective. It's all about broadening your mind. It's all about opening you up and emotionally and changing your perspective on how you emotionally approach things. It changes your perspective about what kind of partners you seek. And it's a change agent for sure for you. And I think it's going to be incredibly beautiful. And I think that, see, for you right now, the Sun, Mercury in retrograde, and the North Node are all conjunct. So you have a lot of energy asking you to open up the way that you think about things. These are everything from day-to-day levels to elevated thinking. This is everything from ascension to how you used to be, challenging your Aries ego, your ego in this particular situation. This is about looking at partnerships and validating the fact that there is a need for partnerships. But this is a journey that I see you going on somewhat isolated and alone for a little bit while you try to figure out energetically where the arrow is pointing you, because this is big. This is a different perspective. And you're not, and so anytime you have a change in perspective, I think knowledge is going to be the comfort in this. And I'm going to tell you right now, you have one of the most beautiful readings that I've read so far as in how progressive I feel that you've come in this entire week. Like, the energy all leading up to this, I think you've been really receptive and open to. And at this point, you're at the point where you're just right there to get some emotional fulfillment and this broadening of perspective. And I think that the entire outcome of all of this is to move you past some of that past pain and that heartbreak and that emotional turmoil that you've had, and a more balanced perspective on all of it. Thank you so much for tuning into Annette's Astrology Corner and my energetic reading for this astrological event, and I look forward to talking to you guys again in the next astrological event. Hi Virgos, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for the total lunar eclipse, supermoon, final blood moon. And it's a big deal. It's a big event. And for you all, this is going to be happening in your 8th house. And for you, that means death and transformation. And that your ruler, Mercury, is going to be in retrograde anyway. So this is going to be making you highly reflective on past-based endeavors, especially in partnerships. But then it's also in opposition with Neptune, which is in Pisces. And so for me, I think this can be particularly troublesome for you because I think in the past you wanted to take on too much and you worked really hard, and that's how you see life moving forward. You see it as taking on a lot of emotional burdens of everybody, and it's like all the weight's always on your shoulders. You're always the one that works the hardest. You're always the one that gets the least out of everything that you desire. And I think that you are still caught in the past illusion of that being the way that it is moving forward. So for you, this type of dysfunction it's like you're energetically identifying with the fact that chaos is normal. And so I think for you, if you keep getting involved with people that are ego-based, Aryan-based, right? Or this particular moon may make you reflect on the fact that you remove your ego and you let other people, and you cater to other people's ego-based issues, and you often put yourself behind. I think for you, that's like a form of a poor coping method, right? That's an area that you need to transform and energetically overcome. And I think you're working on that. And I think that for the most part, I think that you're going to find some balance in this, but I think what you have to stop doing is identifying yourself through work, and you need to stop taking on everybody's emotional burdens from work. And there needs to be a payoff for you. Like, what do you want? What do you want to be? Like, where do you want this to, where is your personal power at? I mean, it can't be tied up in other people, right? Because it's a poor coping method. What do you need? What do you need to feel fresh and alive and flourish and feel like you are getting fed? And I think right now your ego is probably the least elevated that I've seen. And I think you need to work at transforming that. Where I think what happens is you give a lot of your power away at the expense of what you want and desire in the situation. So you need to get that in control. And this lunar experience is going to challenge what you emotionally desire versus what you deeply want on a core base level. And it's going to ask you to really revisit your thought process on this and to get it all on board, your emotional needs as well as your soul-based needs. Partnerships need to be as important to you as work. So it's all about getting all of this in career-life balance, career-life path destiny with life balance. Like, all of this is a big question for you. And when your ruler during a lunar event like this is in retrograde, this suggests to me that there is something very past-based that you're still pulling forward that you need to personally transform, and you need to make an ending in this particular energetic issue, because if you don't, then you just keep, it's like you keep taking on the emotional burdens of everybody. You keep forking out all the energy and you don't get anything back. And inevitably, you are never going to get what you want if you keep doing that. And so this energy is really challenging that limiting mindset for you. And I understand that can be somewhat difficult, and it can cause a lot of stress and anxiety, and it can make you want to avoid. But I would not. I know that you're seeking comfort right now in the chaotic way that you've always done things, but I really want you to elevate your thinking at this point, and I really want you to take this experience. I want you to take two energies that are here, and I want you to put them here. So how you emotionally identify yourself in your heart, what you emotionally desire, needs to be as important as what you outwardly seek, right? How you shine to others, right? These need to be here. They need to be like this. It can't be here and it can't be here. They got to meet in the middle. And so you're in opposition. And I think opposition is a wonderful energy, because that just means that we just need to balance out those two. And we need to really tune into all this Libra energy and just look at it for what it is. It's a challenging experience, but it's making an ending happen in limiting behavior that you do so that you can flourish and get the most emotionally that you need to shine with. Like, it's trying to plug you into the best power source to make you energetically shine the brightest. And that can be a challenge for you, because I think you, for the most part, give up what you desire to meet other people's needs. Thank you so much for tuning into Annette's Astrology Corner. I look forward to talking to you guys on the next astrological event. Hi Libras, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for the lunar eclipse that is going to be a supermoon that is going to be happening in Aries, and the sun is in Libra. So you're a big player. You're in direct opposition with this. This has to do with what you want on a soul-based level, on a core-based level, and it has to do with getting your emotional needs met, and being in balance between the two energies and giving others what they need. So all of this energy, all this Aries energy, it's like ego versus partnership energy for you. And I think for you, the trials that you have often go around the fact that you will put your ego aside to meet what other people's needs, and you won't be authentic to yourself. And I think that is not okay. Now, I don't want you to be boastful and thinking that you got away with something, right? Or that you've masked what you need to get what you want monetarily. I think that there's a trial between what you monetarily want and what you emotionally need. And I think sometimes you can get caught up in your ego versus what you emotionally desire. So for you, I think love is a big challenge for you. And of course it is, because it's in this energy, all this energy is in your 7th house of partnerships. So I think for you, there is a childlike energy in your life that really holds back and really challenges you on all levels. And it kind of takes away your power, takes away your strength and your peace of mind. And it seems like you give more to this person than you actually get. And this person sits there kind of like high on the hog, thinking they'll get away with it. And meanwhile, I think for you, I think at times, I think for the most part, you're dealing with this energy well, because in the end, you're getting what you want on an ego-based level, on an Aryan level. I think the challenge can be at times, and I think that, and I think it's hugely challenging for you, because I don't think you always see it, is that your ego is really making a lot of your decisions for you based, and not your emotions, right? And so for you, the problem is that Saturn is going to come in here and challenge some of your thinking. And so for many of you, I think you're at a point of reflection and you're really, really thinking about how you want to proceed forward, and how do you get your balance back? How do you get that emotional respect? How do you stop giving more than you're getting from a situation? Like, when is the perspective more balanced for you? And I think that will come out with all this Sagittarian energy. You're really thinking a lot, and this is coming, I think, for you, if you just take some time and you go off and kind of isolate yourself and you think about what you want, and I want you to really look at the opportunities that you have in your life. I really do. I want you to really align with it, because there could be an opportunity in your life that you're turning away because what you have before you is so familiar, but it's like you're bored. It's like you're energetically not connected with where you're at right now in love and heart-based endeavors. But I think a lot of it is tied up in ego issues and ego problems with it. And it's like you're more caught up in winning and getting the social status that you desire than you are with the actual person that you're with. And I think that's a really big challenge right now, because Saturn is really going to challenge you and make sure that that's how you really want to progress forward. And there's nothing wrong with making an emotional commitment with somebody based on the fact that you guys have common goals about the future. But are you giving up what you emotionally desire to get what you want monetarily? Right? I mean, I know that gives you some peace of mind, but I don't think it gives you inner balance. I don't think it gives you respect. And I don't think that you're really altogether satisfied in love at this point. I think that if you were to really be honest with yourself and really be as reflective as you need to be, and you actually add emotion to this scenario, you allow this moon to really activate what your ego desires, I think your perspective on all of this would be more authentic and actually might surprise you where you actually want to end up in the future. Thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event.